Hey everyone, welcome back. The last recording that I didn't work out so well, so that's why there's been a bit of delay in this one. As you probably can see on screen now, the layering is all done. Unfortunately, I had some issues. So we had a truck run last weekend for camp quality, and for basically the whole recording and for most of the day they were just honking their horn, so I couldn't use that. I was trying to use a different editing program and it wasn't allowing a long recording of my voice to go over the top of the video, so I'm still learning how to use all this stuff. So I kind of just said, okay, enough's enough. I'll just explain what happened in this video and upload it. It's been a bit of a process. That's probably something I can't do on my phone. It's something I'm going to have to invest in on the computer, but here we are. So last week I did the layering of the captain guy from the Jade Warriors. A lot of my layering progress is like 3 layers to get to a highlight. The reds and the browns, so the red undershirt and the leathers, all have a 4th highlight, which makes it pop that little bit more. So I'll quickly go through on screen what colors I've used. So lead belcher as a base coat, first layer, and then runefang seal as the highlight for all of the metal areas on the armor and the helmet. Around the back. For the jade areas, so the fabrics, the hair, and the detailing on the armor here, we started off with Incubi Darkness, Cabalite Green, and Siberite Green. I probably butchered these names, sorry, but you've got the paint pots on there to know what ones I've used. What's next? Red. So red is the detailing on this armor piece just here and the red underskirt. So base coat, corn red in first layer. Mephiston red is your next one. Evil Sun Scarlet would be your 3rd highlight, but then I've gone with a 4th highlight for reds, Wild Rider Red, and it just gives that nice crisp highlight, last final highlight, I find. For the skin tone, I have used Deathclaw Brown, try and make sure there's no shine. Next layer is Bestigore Flesh, and then the final highlight is Ungore Flesh. For gold, we've got Retributor Armor, and then this is where I differ from Citadel. I've gone with Vallejo Game Color, 72.055, or polished gold is what you're looking for. So basically it's the top of the helmet here, all the detailing on the sword and the buckle on the bag. Then the brown for the leather. Start off with the Rhinox hide. What's going on here? Sorry, my phone and my watch are not linking up. So you got Rhinox hide, Doom Bull brown, Mournfang brown, and then this is like the red final highlight of Scrag brown, just to kind of the corners and those raged areas, just to give them a bit more brightness. The other thing is I think it's a sake bottle on the back here. So again, started off with a Vallejo color, which is 72.061, which is khaki. First layer is Morghast bone, and then the final is Vallejo 72.034, which is bone white. The black areas, where have I put my black colors? They're over here. So the black colors I've got to go over. I haven't done those layers yet, but obviously starting off with the Baden black. Skaven Blight Dinge would be my next layer, and then the final layer will be Storm Vermin Fur. When painting the black, you kind of just want to do raised edges. You don't want to kind of blend it too much, or I find. You try and keep them harsh, but we'll come back to that at another point, probably at the end of this video. So this video was supposed to be just basing, but because my last one played up, I will show you layering of the arms because I haven't done them yet, and then the base. So I'll show you what rocks I've used, how I go about doing that. So first things first, let's start off with red. It's probably good that I didn't do the arms on the same day I did the recording for the rest of the body, because now I get to show you what I do and kind of talk my way around it. Yeah, I'm still learning how to do editing and stuff like that. Like, it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be, but that's fine. It's a new skill I'm learning, which is cool. So at least being just the arms, you'll be able to see my process a lot quicker speed, because I won't be taking as long trying to paint a whole model. But eventually what I will do is I'll do a type of time lapse, I guess, of painting like a full unit. And probably put music to that instead of just continually talking. I've noticed also that since starting this channel, I have 10 subscribers that I know of. I'm still trying to work out how the analytics side of YouTube works. So to those that have subscribed, hello, thank you for subscribing. The hopes is that I get enough subscribers to do a live stream, but that requires having 50 subscribers, I think it is. So we'll get there one day. So, because these are small areas, I'm able to punch through them quicker while still getting that degree of where light works. So in the previous video, I mentioned that I did a lot of art theory and art history, and that does help a lot with these miniatures because they're not a 2D canvas. Sorry, I'm trying to work out where I'm painting. Because they're not a 2D canvas, you really have to work out where the light is hitting. Not just like your light that you're using, but more so the artificial light, light that is hitting your model. So are you painting, let's say for argument's sake, with a light from a sun from directly above the model? Or are you painting the model that's backlit? Are you painting at different times of the day? So do you have the model at dusk, at dawn? Is it midday? Because the light source of those is going to be different. If it's dawn, the light's going to come towards the front of the model more than above it. Midday is going to be above it. Dusk is going to be behind it. So remembering where the light source for the model is coming from will help keep your army consistent. For tabletop, that is, or if you're entering a whole army for a painting competition, making sure you remember where those light sources hit. If you're doing a nighttime light source, make sure you're using muted tones, unless like it is fantasy based, so you could have a bright moon. But generally for nighttime, you're looking more heavily into your blue tones. So just making sure that if you're using that kind of blue tone effect, that you're using washes or saturation of let's say reds with blues in it, so like more like your purples, to get that kind of nighttime effect. Then comes the option of object source lighting. So do you have torches or lava that could be casting light from the bottom of the model? And if that's the case, create that glow effect going up. Do you have a brazier above the model? Do you have a magical source? Are there flames on weapons? Like all these things you kind of have to keep in mind when you're painting these models, is where is light playing and where is the shadows playing. Because the moment you work that out, the more realistic these models are going to come across. Unless of course your painting style is cartoony or anime style, then go for gold. You do what you need to do. But if you're trying to make them look realistic, which is something I try and do, then I try and stick to where light would play. Also, don't be afraid to experiment, because at the end of the day, it's art. And art in its basic form is experimentation. So once I've done these arms, I can show you the dragon lord that I've been working on. Well, the dragon horse, not so much the lord, but the horse. And I tried with the scales, trying to create an effect that they were glowing from inside out, so reversing that light shadow play. Unfortunately, when I did it, it didn't look right, it just looked sloppy. So that is why I've gone with the effect that I've done now on it. And I'm actually kind of happy with how it has come out so far. So what I'm trying to say is, do not be afraid to experiment on your models. What's the worst that you could do? Stuff it up. Just means depends on how thick you've painted. It might mean you have to strip the model. If you're doing light layers, go over with black and start again. Like, it's the best thing about art and this hobby is there's no right, there's no wrong. Also, don't be afraid to ask friends and families for opinions, especially those in hobby groups. Everyone has their opinions, but sometimes it's nice to get an outside opinion on something you're unsure of. Something to you might look hideous. In other people's eyes, it looks amazing. So just remember you have people around you that can help you out. Because at the end of the day, we are our harshest critics. Now, when it comes to gluing these arms on, it's going to be fun because I struggle with two-handed weapons. So anyone watching this, if you're still here, if you know an easier way to gluing these arms on, please let me know, because I swear these are character building. Also, by all means, leave a comment. Love to hear from people, even if it's just to say hello. It's another aspect of YouTube I haven't really witnessed as yet, because I haven't had anyone do that. So who knows, you might be the first person. Alright, last highlight for the weapon, the metal areas. Nope, I need to hold it like that. Am I still in frame? Yes. So for the weapon areas, trying to avoid the blade of it. I'm trying to keep that dark. Nice. And again. Still in frame, yes. Sorry, I go quiet when I'm trying to focus. Also, I never quite know what to say on these videos. Like, do you guys want to keep hearing me talk about random stuff? Do you want to know stuff about paint, art theory while I'm painting? Like, I just don't know. All right, next step is, it's toasty in here. I have my studio door closed so that my partner doesn't come in and start yapping away at me, because that will pick up on the camera. It should be just these. It's there. There. I don't know if you can pick that up, but that's him moving around at the moment. Is there anything else brown that I needed to do? No. Next layer. So, as you can see, I am powering through it, and that's just because these parts are small. Which actually might make for a bit of an interesting video than a really long one. Okay, so next one. Oh yeah. See, normally I have YouTube videos playing in the background or music, so trying to fill a void of sound is intimidating to me. So I feel like I have to keep talking. Plus, I'm sure other YouTube videos out there, and I can contest this because I watch them, are produced so much better than what I'm doing right now. But I am new to this, so I am learning. Maybe in the future I'll work out what I'm trying to do. But for now, it's just trying to get content out there, trying to get some form of, what's the word I'm looking for? Presence. Some sort of presence out there. Also, because I have applied for the Squidma Miniatures Masters, I'm trying to create content so that if I do get chosen, they can see my progress, they can see what I'm working on, they can see that I've got a presence. So, trying my best. It's not easy when you don't know what you're doing, but who knows? Maybe I'll work it out. Alright, browns are done. I did realize I forgot to base coat the hands and wash them, so at least you'll get to see that. Also, you may have noticed I haven't base coated or washed the stick, the wood part of the weapon, and that is intentional because I wet blend the wood to get the texture, the shading right. I find when I wash them around like these areas here, I end up painting the areas that have been washed, and you lose that kind of definition that is already there from previous layers. So I found it easier just to forego base coating and washing them and just do it at the end. Like everything, people might not do it this way, people may hate me for it, but at the end of the day, it's my hobby, this is how I do it, and if you don't like it, then tough. This is how I will do it, and this is how I'll always do it, until I learn a different way of doing it. And who knows, if I get onto this Squidma thing, maybe I'll learn new techniques from there. Actually, I can guarantee you I'll learn new techniques. Because everyone has a different way of painting. I know that bit is going to be glued, but whatever. Alright, that's those bits done. Wait for that to dry. In the meantime, we will do the blues. No, not blues, the jade. Because there's only that one little bit left. Two little bits, to be honest. So come down. With this section, I'm trying to be very deliberate with where I'm painting, because it's basically a type of hair. I want to try and keep those shaded recesses to give it more definition. So that means being very careful with where I'm painting. Now, it's dried, okay. So for the jade areas, this is probably one of the only times I'll actively use my wet palette, just because I find it gives a cleaner finish and a better blend. I know a lot of people would probably prefer it if I used a wet palette all the time, but for me, I find painting straight from the pot, as sacrilegious as it is, I just find it easier for me. It's how I've always painted. And probably how I'll paint till the day I die. Not that I'm saying I'm not up for change. Last layer. Oh yeah. Actually, before we do that, I'm just gonna go over the hands with a wash. So my wash brush is just a cheap brush called Delta. Sorry, I'm like biting onto my other brush. Hang on. So Delta is what I use for washing base coating usually. They're a cheap brush, and as you might be able to see on camera, I'm not quite sure, the tip's already started to curl, and it's kind of got, yeah, it's curled. That brush I literally opened the other day, and yet, let's get that to a point. Artist Opus, I've had these brushes for 2 years now and not one curl. They don't fray apart. I do make sure that I clean them, so maybe that helps, but even so, like, I clean the Delta brushes and yet they curl in like 2 seconds. So as I think I've said in previous videos, invest in some good brushes and you won't have to keep buying them. I swear by Artis Opus, I'm concentrating. A friend got me onto them, showed me their website, and I have not looked back since. They're just a beautiful brush. And as I've said, like, I've painted so many miniatures with these and they're still going strong. All right. Yep. Oops, that there. What's that? Alrighty, next is the gold areas. And we're pretty much done. Nope, hang on, skip that. I just realised the top armour panel has the jade detailing that I forgot about. So while that's still wet on my wet palette, I will quickly go ahead and do those. While I wait for that to dry, actually, let's go ahead and do these gold areas. So while I paint these, what I'm trying to do is avoid taking too much of that shade color around from those little divots. One, it creates more depth, but two, if you take away a lot of that shading, it just looks flat. But not only that, that blue wash that I've used kind of takes away some of that yellow tone. Even though I'm going back over with the same paint, it kind of minimizes that color shift, I think. Well, that's me anyway. It might all be in my head. Flipping around. It's just spelling this bit here. Alright, so now I can go back over the green area, now that has had time to dry. There we go. Alright, last colour before we do the wet blend. So I'm not going heavy with this gold, just kind of where I think it needs to be the most, just because I don't want this to become too yellow, if that makes sense. Also, this gold is quite more on the runny side. It's not as pigmented. So it's not as thick, but also it kind of flows better where I need it and works best as a highlight. So I'm just being kind of, I guess, dabby would be the term I'd use. Oh, I was highlighting a part I didn't need to. Oops. Alright, gold's done. Oh, I've got gold all over my fingers. Awesome. Good thing this is acrylic paint and it washes out quick. Alright, next step is where I change my brush. So I'm going to go with Artist Opus Series M #1. And the reason I'm going with this brush is because it has gone through the ringer. I've actually lost most of the bristles. This has had 2 years worth, and God, I can't keep track of how many models I've painted with it. So for me, it's a very good base coat brush, and it's a very good brush to do wet blending in because I'm not having to worry about the bristles anymore. Yes, I will get a new brush, but for the time being, it does the job. And I make do with what I've got. Also, I am quite inventive when it comes to my things. I'm trying to work out what's the best way I can get the most juice out of it. So instead of throwing this brush away, I've decided this will be for different techniques that I need to do. And it is doing a good job. is starting to get to the point where I might have to get rid of it. So as you can see, I'm trying to keep the shaded areas near the gold, trying to keep that definition around them. Makes them pop a little bit more. And I accidentally, yes, I'll have to go over that one. So you probably just saw that I accidentally hit the silver of the weapon, so I'll have to go over that. Yeah, I think this poor brush has had its days. Alright, we're getting to the point where I can start wet blending. Alright. I just realised I used the wrong colour. That's my base coat, that's right. There's not too much of a difference between the base coat and the first layer, so I can kind of get away with it. So generally what I would do is the base coat first, and then go in with my second layer to kind of bring out that brightness. The best bit is that the base coat and base layer and the first layer are quite similar in colour. So now I'm going to go over with the bone white. Nope, it's not working. Alright, I've buggered up today. See? Even I still make mistakes. So, what I'm doing is I'm just utilising my wet palette to try and fix up this. So we'll do one side at a time, I think. Come in. Use the very edge of my brush, not the tip. And then come in with this bit. And then just kind of fan it out. And it should, as it's sort of doing, should blend into each other. It takes a lot of practice to get this, but once you get it, the outcome is amazing. So I don't know if you can see that on screen. It just gives this kind of blended tone, which is beautiful. All right, other side. Do the center part, center part, center part, center part. Get the excess off. Get your next color, blend. Done. All right, that just leaves the quick fix up with this middle bit. There we go. And then that just leaves his hands and we're done. No, we're not. There's edging I forgot on this armor plate, so we'll do that one in a second, but quickly we'll do these hands and then he's done. And that's what I mean with these newer models. The more I look, the more things I keep missing, just because they are so detailed, which is not a bad thing, it's actually a good thing, but there's just a lot to miss now. Swing it around there. Next. God, no, I've had gold on my fingers. God damn it. So I don't know if you can see I've put gold all over everything. Clearly I have had gold somewhere. And this is why I like to have the model on the base, so I don't have to continually touch it. That is okay, we'll go back and fix it. Yet again, even I make mistakes. I think also the fact that the last video I made didn't work, or it worked, it didn't do what I wanted it to do, is kind of frizzled me a bit today. So where I should just paint to calm down, I'm trying to record as well. So it's just a tricky day today. But hey, painting, it's fun. Alrighty, next colour, final highlight. Therefore we have to fix up more stuff. Right, you out of the way. Oh yeah. So what I'm doing with the hands is I kind of paint from the, sorry, give me 1 second. So yeah, especially with the hands, not so much the face, but with the hands, what I'm trying to do is paint from knuckle back, knuckle back, knuckle back, to try and give that definition of shade on the hands. All right, you know what? I've still got, no, I need to do those on, wait. So let's just go over with another base coat and we'll start again. That's that one. Just while that bit dries, we will fix up these metal areas. shades in the darker recessed areas. Spin that around. All right, I need those two. Next color. Corner, corner, next color, final color. I have noticed that there is a bit on this inside of the blade that hasn't got wash on it, I don't think. So it's something I'll quickly fix up in a second. Corner, 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 and finally corner, corner, corner. All right, just quickly get that shade. Where is it? The other side's fine. It's just that one side. Alrighty. So, while those finish off drying, so I'm just going to move those to the side. Move that. I need that one actually. No, I don't. God, sorry. How I've only done arms. This was supposed to be a quick video. Base. I will quickly run through what I do. What do I do? So, oh god, that could be a recipe disaster. So, I don't know if this shows on screen, but rocks that I have bought from our hardware store, which is called Bunnings here in Australia. It's a type of red smooth stone, glued it on in such a fashion to get the style that I'm after. I also glue on another stone that I bought from Bunnings, which is this kind of small, I don't know, chipped white rock. So it's just the tinier ones that I've used on the base. The bigger ones are the red ones. I then give them a base coat of the khaki, wash them over with a Acrylic Earthshade, and then I have a brush, which is just a makeup brush. Oh, this one's actually Leho. There you go. But makeup brush from your department store, I guess. I don't know what you call them. Here we call them Kmart and Target. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're overseas anyway. But something that's rounded. Basically, that's going to give it a nice kind of dry brush effect. Base coating is like, base is the only time that I will dry brush. And even then, it's more of a wet blend than a dry brush that I do. I usually have my gloves on because I don't like getting paint on my fingers, but I've already done that. So generally I work from the top down, and then on the bottom buns, just working on the tops. With this, be as messy as you want. The more messy you are, the more realistic it's going to be. Alright, next colour. So with each layer, it's going to get brighter and brighter. I've also found by using the makeup brushes, they do blend, well, I suppose that's what their job is to do, blends them a bit better, so especially for like these ones. The colors become a bit more smoothed out, and for the type of rocks that I've used, works really well because it it smooths them out like smooth rock. So, dry brush. As I said, mine's more of a wet blend than a dry brush. And then final one I do, so I should probably do this on camera. So I'm just trying to get all the excess paint off. So I've just put paint on, smush it around, same there, and then trying to get that brighter color. So just trying to mix it out. Now I'm just trying to get that excess coloring out. I think that's fine. I need white, so I'm just going to go over the top. So see how that color's still got a little bit of the beigey color? That is fine because I'm trying to transition them. I'm just lightly going over the top of them. Yeah. And there we have it. I might grab that khaki and try and go into this bit just here. We'll see how we go. No, it's going to blend it. Maybe if I try. Oops. I am not doing so well today. I think it's because I'm trying to rush to get things done today. We're just going to leave it there because if I keep playing around with it, I'm just going to make it worse, I think. So, as you've seen, even I have off days. And I think today is not a painting day, but that's okay. Painting. Oops. And then after that, generally what I'll do is, where is all my stuff? Over here. So, I cannot remember the brand of these grass tufts, but basically, I'll do grass tufts and this, what is this? Woodland Scenic greenery. I cannot remember what the thing of the grass was called, but if you'd like to know, I can look it up and I can get back to you. They do have a sticky side. I go in with super glue just because I like to make sure they're stuck. But first things first. Oh, the gluing is a weapon. Yeah, cool. This is the bit I hate. Right, I think it's there. So his feet. So generally what I like to try and do first is glue them in place. Hopefully it's not stuck to me. Hey! First time it's not stuck to me. And then I can go around and start peeling off. I need you. So for instance, like, I don't know if you're on camera or not, but that little section in there will be green tuft. Let's try and separate some of this. Get rid of that, that's not wanted. This little crevice here. So what I'm doing here is trying to mimic what I would see in real life or on images that I have found on the internet. So for this, I looked up Chinese mountain path, and that's where I got the color and the smoothness of the rock that I needed. Also in that image, it showed the kind of foliage that would typically be found in those areas. It just so happened that I had those coloured foliages on hand. And then just trying to figure out what would happen in real life. So being a plant person, I know that plants will find a way to grow wherever they can. And generally in a rock formation such as this, dirt will pile up in amongst the cracks, and plants need dirt to survive. So what they'll do is they'll put their roots there and start growing. And you may be like, but how does something like that grow in such a small area? And next time you go for a walk, have a look and you'll be surprised at where plants will grow. Like, next time you're in a city, you'll see plants have started growing in sidewalks or on buildings because they are hardy and will grow wherever they can. No. Put another one just there, and I think we might call that quits. The other thing with basing is you don't want to go overboard. Yes, detailing is good, but if you start going overboard, it can look cluttered and too much and will detract from the miniature. So the main goal for doing this is to add more to the story. So my story is that these are supposed to be Chinese soldiers, and I've gone for a Chinese mountain landscape, and I've had people say to me that yes, it does look like those two things should belong. So winner. Last thing to do is I like to edges of these bases, I'm doing a brown. The way I like to think about the rims of the bases, this is just me. I know other people have different ways of doing stuff, but for me, I like to think that someone has got a cookie cutter and gone chunk into that landscape. So for me, what would be lying underneath all these rocks is dirt. So I'm going ahead with the brown to kind of mimic that kind of cutout look. It's not to stop you from doing your bases bright pink or bright purple. This is just the way I do it. And I guess you're here to learn a different way of painting or see someone else's techniques, so that's how I do them. There are some trogs that I've done which are on a sandy beach, so their cutout is a bone colour to kind of mimic the sand that would be underneath that topsoil. Just giving it a second coat just to get rid of the streakiness, hopefully. And there we go. I don't want to hold the rim because it's still drying, but once I glue the arms on, that's him done. Apart from all the black, but that'll take me like 2 seconds. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please come back for more different things that I will paint. As promised at the beginning of the episode, I said I was going to show you my scales for the dragon horse, and that's what I've done so far. So experimented with reversing the light and dark, didn't work out as well, so I'm quite happy with this dark to light scales. It makes them really pop, especially amongst this creamy coloured bodies. But yeah, thank you for watching. Please leave a comment below with anything. Bye.